A group of emerging artists are showing their work at the Dorchester Art Project. The space is located near Fields Corner, and the project's goal is to create work that's critically engaged and connected to a diverse community. The current exhibit's called Body Language, and it's open through August 12th. We'd like to welcome two of the contributing artists and curators of the exhibit, the project's resident artist, Anya Smolnikova, and the project's program manager, Leo Whelan. Thank you both very much for being with us. I want to start with Leo. Talk about this. This is a fairly new place, and what's the whole mission here?
Sure. So we've been around, Dorchester Art Project's been around since last June, so we're only about a year old. And we have 14 artist studios, so resident artists, mostly younger artists, all from Boston, a number of whom who live in Dorchester. And we also have an art gallery and a performance space. So basically our mission is to support emerging artists, so visual artists, performers in Boston. And we want to basically kind of foster a place both for critically engaged art. And so by that we mean art that is contemporary, that's taking on contemporary concerns, and also a place that kind of brings together diverse art communities in Boston. So partly the idea of linking the schools, people coming out of the art schools in Boston, and people coming from kind of all kinds of other backgrounds, kind of bridging that divide. In Boston.
This is an exhibit called Body Language, and it has a whole bunch of different meanings. So talk a little bit about how that's reflected.
So the name Body Language came after playing around with a whole bunch of different names, and we realized that body language is really the main idea of the whole show. Body language is part of all language, and it's a language that transcends or lies beneath all the different languages and all the different cultures. And whether subconsciously or consciously, we are picking up cues from each other all the time through body language. So we wanted to bring this idea of body language and bring artists that are currently working with the idea of body language, whether through figure drawing, painting, or through sculpture that reacts to you and moves the mirrors as you move around the space, or animation that uses body parts, as well as performance during the opening and the closing. We had and will have some fantastic performances. We wanted to bring this idea into a safe, creative, critical space so that people could explore this idea, become aware of their own body language, and perhaps connect through it.
I know you have some works that show different expressions through bodily contact, and there's one, it's practically a riot. It's called Partying?
Party Time.
Party Time. That is quite a tumble there. Explain what's going on there.
It's playing around with I guess kind of cartoon shapes. I guess one thing I was kind of thinking about kind of older cartoons, like older black and white Disney or
Betty Boop,
Mickey Mouse, things like that. And kind of thinking of it as it is composed of this universal language, which is also taken up by modernist artists. You can kind of think about Picasso just breaking things up into shapes, essentially. But I think the idea that there is this underlying, cartoons do have there's an underlying sort of serious side to them in a way, or they do kind of access this deeper kind of subconscious level, where you do have kind of these associations with just kind of cartoony shapes. So really just kind of playing with that idea.
All right, we're talking with Leo Whelan and Anya Smolnikova from the Dorchester Art Project. Anya, talk about one of your paintings. This one, I think, stems a little bit from a trip you made to Haiti, and this is called, what is it, When the Anthropologists Come? Well, what happens?
Yeah, the arrival of the anthropologist. Wow, yes, so last summer, in the summer before that, I traveled to Haiti with the Jean Apollon dance summer program as a resident artist working with the young dancers there on a big painted tapestry that goes behind their final dance performance at the end of the summer. It's a free camp for Haitians, young Haitians, to engage in yoga, modern dance, as well as folkloric Haitian dance. And I painted the tapestry with them, and as I went, I created different exercises that bridged their dance practice and the team spirit that they were developing with visual practices. So we did a walking meditation where they went in partners and painted their feet and walked. This was actually the first thing we did together 2 summers ago, and walked with painted footprints. So that's what I did there. But the painting is about culture shock. It's about questioning. It's about bringing together impossible realities into one, which I felt happens in Haiti. There's several dimensions that come together, and they just are there. You know, there's the Christianity, there's the voodoo, there's me, you know, Belarusian immigrant from America, artist person. There's different anthropologists whom I've talked to, you know, Harvard professors. And this idea came from one particular moment where the painting scene is actually set in a real setting. It happened in a village, and the anthropologists did come, and I did talk to them, and I've been there already for a few days, so I was feeling this in between.
Interesting. I think I heard you say that Haiti reminded you more of Belarus than America does.
Yes, body language. The body language is a lot more familiar and expressive to me, and yeah.
Leo, you're an immigrant from Alston, an Alston native, believe it or not.
Transplant, yes.
And
organ transplant.
And yet you have a very interesting, for me it's a quintessential Dorchester combination here. The frayed chain link fence and those Victorian ornamentations it's spun around. How did you ever get those two things together?
Well, I mean, they naturally coexist already anywhere you walk around Dorchester. So yeah, I mean, I think partly it is kind of this organic form, which is what I guess connects it to the body language theme. But a lot of my other work, I think about the neighborhood. I think about where I am locally, Boston, and I think about I think the idea of kind of the memory of a neighborhood. So. And a lot of that is made up of the architectural features of it, and then kind of the associations those carry. And what I kind of want to do is place that in sort of a fantasy realm. So to kind of take these elements of everyday life, like the chain link or like these Victorian ornaments, and again really kind of place them in a context, in an image that plays with them, and where they can become something else and kind of forge new connections.
And another subtext in this exhibit is healing, especially healing of trauma. And one of the artists represented is Paul Goodnight. And you look at his paintings; they look so healthy and athletic and graceful.
Yes. Well, I'm sure. Are you familiar with Paul's story?
And it's not what you'd expect from looking at the paintings.
Yeah, so I've had the honor to know Paul for a couple of years, and he shared some of his story with me. And art really was the vehicle through which he came alive again. He went to Vietnam and lost his ability to speak and regained his ability to express himself and then speak through visual expression, and has been teaching it openly as a healing tool, as well as a creative, construction tool as well, for many years since then. So he works with the body. I love how he expresses the strength and healthiness of the body, shameless nudity and grace, and kind of the honor of form and of skin, the honor and the grace of that as something that not to be ashamed of, but to stand proudly in. Yeah.
Now on a different end of the spectrum, Leo, I look at some of your works, and I think it was pointed out that, well, that's a little bit like Robert Crumb in some of them. And Robert Crumb was, he was comic, but he was also kind of scary in some ways too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of welcome the creepiness factor in that people definitely kind of find some of my work creepy and weird, and I think that's great. I love it.
How do you feel like that? I mean, because you seem so normal in that these things you put on the wall.
How do these things come out of a normal seeming person's head? Yeah, I mean, I think there really is. I really believe in the idea of kind of underlying, like it kind of there's underlying forces sort of, and and they can be uncomfortable and difficult, and there's there's difficult histories and difficult memory, public memory and personal memory. So yeah, I think sometimes the best way to approach things like that is through weird humor, or just any humor, and sometimes through just through very directly showing something like bodies. Just to as a way to get at something that's difficult to access otherwise.
Anya, this is also an interesting venue, and if people don't look carefully, they might miss the lights on the stairway in Dorchester Ave. So maybe if you can pinpoint where this is, so they can find you and know when to come.
Yes, so if you're taking the wonderful Boston public transportation, you get out at Fields Corner on the Red Line and walk directly towards Dorchester Avenue, and right across the street you will find a turquoise doorway, and at first covered by tree branches, but then opened, there's a sign, Dorchester Art Project. And during the closing reception on Friday the 12th, 5 to 8, the door will be open, and you just have to look inside, and you will see a lighted stairway that will lead you right to body language.
Okay. That's all you have to do. Thank you very much, Anya Smolnikova and Leo Whelan from the Dorchester Art Project.